To tell you there is some moving and shaking going on in the Indiana Fever organization because they have definitely let go of a player. Now, I know y'all thinking, what does this mean? This means Caitlin Clark return is sooner rather than later. Could that be why we did not see Caitlin come back? I mean, we did not see Caitlin travel with the team this past week.
The Indiana Fever just lit up the basketball world with a move nobody saw coming. Kira Lambert, the player meant to be Caitlin Clark's short-term stand-in, was shown the door quicker than a knockoff sneaker getting tossed out of a Nike factory. Now, Fever fans everywhere are connecting the dots on their screens and whispering the same thing. Caitlin Clark's return might be closer than anyone thought.
The Indiana Fever have officially released Kyra Lambert, a guard from overseas who Stephanie White signed on a trust me bro recommendation. Somebody who Stephanie White didn't even know existed up until about 8 days ago. Unfortunately for Kyra Lambert, her time on the Indiana Fever has come and her time on the Indiana Fever has gone. Best of luck to you and your future endeavors.
This isn't your standard roster shuffle. This feels like the kind of calculated move that makes you think the Indiana Fever are playing four-dimensional chess while the rest of the league is still fumbling with checkers. You don't cut a stand-in before her 7-day deal even runs out because of performance. That's about space. And in Indiana, when you're clearing space, there's only one name that matters.
Why is this move curious? Well, Lambert was on a 7-day deal, so the Fever could just be looking at this break knowing that her contract was going to expire anyway and not wanting to waste her time. But under the hardship rules, as that it has been, put out there and publicized, the Fever only had to release one of the two players between Odyssey Sims and Kyra Lambert once Caitlin Clark was back. But one of them was going to have to go.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to hit subscribe. Just a week ago, the Indiana Fever were so starved for a point guard that it felt like they were ready to hold open auditions for anyone who could dribble without handing the ball to the other team. Enter Kira Lambert, fresh off a solid run in the Greek A1 League, polished with international experience, and saying all the right things about faith, blessings, and being ready for her shot. She spoke like a woman who had been preparing for this moment her entire life, grounded in trusting God and staying faithful to her journey.
It's a blessing, having the journey that I've had and just, remaining faithful, trusting God and doing the work and just to see it all come back around and have this opportunity.
What's this opportunity in the W given all that you've worked to get to this point?
Yeah. I mean, it means everything, to, again, just remain faithful and trust the process. It speaks to resiliency, it speaks to faith, and I'm really excited to be here.
What's your familiarity, if any, with this team, with staff, with how they want to run things?
Yeah, I've been watching the W for years. It's the best basketball in the world, so, I've been watching.
But here's where it gets juicy. Lambert wasn't just another name to fill a uniform. She was brought in because the Fever were bleeding point guards like a busted faucet that won't stop dripping. Caitlin Clark was still sidelined with that nagging groin injury. Ari McDonald was done for the year with a broken foot. Sydney Colson went down with a torn ACL. At that point, the Fever were one phone call away from asking somebody's cousin from the local rec league to run point.
Clearly, Odyssey Sims has played herself into more of a role for the Fever. She got a bunch of minutes in the game on Sunday, 42 minutes for Sims. Lambert didn't play, right? So you can see relative one to the other, where the Fever were looking at things from the pecking order standpoint. Now, there's also the Sophie Cunningham injury, but to be honest, I'm not sure how that would impact things unless they felt they needed somebody at that position rather than more depth at the point.
So, the Fever handed Lambert a 7-day contract, a WNBA version of a trial run at your dream job. The only problem? Her trial run barely lasted longer than a TikTok clip. She logged less than a minute of court time against the Connecticut Sun on August 17th, and by Monday, just like that, she was gone. Not because she failed, not because the moment was too big, but because someone else is on the verge of returning. Someone who packs 15,000-seat arenas and sends ESPN analysts into a frenzy.
He just saw the most pointless contract of all time. The most pointless 7-day of all time. Kyra Lambert. They didn't even give Kyra Lambert a page on the WNBA website. I'm not joking. Like, you type in WNBA.com and you look at the Fever's last game. Maybe they updated it because she actually saw the floor. Fever versus Connecticut. Kyra Lambert played a grand total of 4 seconds. She played 4 seconds. Would have been better off just to not play her. Oh wait, it rounded up to 5. They didn't even give her a WNBA page. They did not even give her a WNBA.
Now here's where Fever fans start playing detective, piecing clues together like it's a true crime special. As Indistar beat writer Chloe Peterson noted weeks back, when Indiana brought in veteran guard Odyssey Sims, there was still roster flexibility. If they had just stuck with Sims, Caitlin Clark's eventual return wouldn't have forced anyone out. But the moment Lambert entered the picture, the math changed. Somebody was going to lose their spot when the Queen came back to reclaim her throne. And guess who drew the short straw? Not Sims, the 33-year-old vet with 304 career games of experience. It was Lambert, the very player who was supposed to hold the line until Clark's return. The one who spoke about faith, dreams, opportunity, and trusting the process.
Fever fans, I don't know, we might have some good news. Well, we might have some great news. Cece, my precious Cece, might be returning. Might be. You hear me? Because they just released Kyra Lambert. You hear me? She had 3 ACL tears. So she wasn't good for nothing anyway. She fragile. How you have that many ACL tears? But thank you for providing us 7 days of your presence. You hear me? We needed you to fill in. You hear me? Because the GOAT, the greatest of all time, is about to return.
But let's talk timing, because this timing is sharper than a Swiss watch. ESPN quietly shifted Caitlin Clark's projected return from August 12th, which came and went, to August 26th, when the Fever host the Seattle Storm. And the schedule just happens to cooperate perfectly. After Sunday's matchup with Connecticut, Indiana gets a full week off, plenty of time for one certain superstar to ease back into a practice rhythm. Even ESPN's broadcast crew pointed out that this break lines up with Coach Stephanie White's plan. Clark needs multiple practices before game action. And what's waiting right after that week? A back-to-back against Minnesota, and then that August 26th showdown with Seattle. The exact stretch ESPN circled for Clark's grand return.
Did know that once Caitlin Clark was back, one of the 2 hardship signings was going to have to go. So that's naturally where people's heads were thinking when it was reported on the ESPN broadcast that Clark, the hope was she would return to practice this week, with target dates the 22nd, 24th, 26th, those games being thrown out as potential return dates. Now, I don't have any other updates on that. I mean, I took Stephanie White's comments as they hope still she returns at the regular season a little less confident than the.
So let's break this down. Lambert gets waived the moment the Fever head into their week-long break. Clark's projected return just happens to line up with the end of that break. The team hangs onto veteran Odyssey Sims but sends the overseas newcomer packing. If this isn't a carefully orchestrated move, then coincidence is working overtime in Indiana. The fan response? Volcanic. Social feeds are overflowing with Clark's celebration gifs, countdown clocks, and theories wild enough to make conspiracy buffs jealous. And with good reason. The Fever sit at 18-15, clinging to their playoff spot just 2.5 games ahead of 9th place, while also sitting only 3 games behind New York and 3.5 back of the number 2 seed. With Clark back in uniform, suddenly those lofty goals don't feel so out of reach. But spare a thought for Kyra Lambert. She probably believed this was finally her big break. After 4 years overseas and a standout run in the Greek A1 League, she got her shot at WNBA glory. She spoke from the heart about opportunity, faith, and trusting the process. The Fever welcomed her with open arms, and she seemed genuinely eager to contribute to a team she had been following and studying for years.
Can the Fever please invest in international scouts? They definitely need to invest in international scouts because I know your boy John Liquidator ain't the best advocate when it comes to overseas players, but something I would say, they play hard, bro. Those overseas players play like they got something to prove. I give them that. But far as me, I feel like we got enough talent here at home in our home country to get players. Somebody said every day I question if Amber Cox and Stephanie White are even on the set.
In the unforgiving world of professional sports, fitting in and saying all the right things doesn't matter if someone better is waiting in the wings. Lambert wasn't cut because she lacked talent. She was cut because she was never meant to stay. A placeholder, a bridge, a temporary patch while the real solution healed. And let's be clear about what Caitlin Clark's return means for the Indiana Fever. It's not just about plugging their leading scorer back into the lineup. Before her injury, she was averaging 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, and 5.0 rebounds, a stat line that speaks for itself. But her value goes beyond numbers. Clark is the gravitational force that makes the entire offense orbit. Coach Stephanie White has been hinting all season that the Fever will be even more dangerous when Clark returns, and she's not exaggerating. This stretch without her has forced the team to grow in ways last year's squad never did. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, each has elevated their game, proving they can shoulder responsibility. So when Clark slides back in, she won't be asked to carry the burden alone. She'll be the final piece, the spark that turns an improved team into a legitimate threat.
Throughout her second season in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark has posted 16.5 points, 5 rebounds, and 8.8 assists per game for the Indiana Fever. Clark started the season on a tear under Stephanie White, but has since struggled to stay on the court, playing her second season as a professional. The Fever have 9 remaining games of their regular season schedule. They have a long break before their next matchup on Friday. The venue will be open, giving Clark a chance to rehab as the Fever take several days off from game